What do the small hats want more than anything? They want to control everyone. They want to enslave everyone. What's the easiest way to do it? To get people to call it in themselves. What would get people so scared that they would start calling in extra security measures, extra authority, give up more of their rights in the pursuit of safety? Well, I can't think of anything much more powerful than a civil war. Of course, this is completely inevitable due to government policy. We've created a balkanized state, we've created a multicultural society with lots of different religions, cultures, views and desires for life, which whenever we've seen that throughout history, it's only ever ended up in war, obviously. How can people who have completely different views of life, completely different desires for life, completely different values and ways of life possibly assimilate? Well, they can't, which history has proven every time. And of course the small hats knew this. You know, I mean, this was a meeting in 1950s in Sweden.
One of them is Barbara Spector, a former American who made Aliyah and then 10 years ago, with the help of the government of Sweden, set up a non-denominational institute of Jewish learning with the Greek name of Paideia, here in Stockholm. She believes the current wave of anti-Semitism in Sweden will pass and that Jews have an important role to play in a country undergoing profound change.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic societies that they once were in the last century. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role. But without that leading role and without that transformation, Europe will not survive.
As we can see, this has been planned for a very long time, and of course the inevitable is now happening, and certain communities, or all the communities, are basically creating their own army now.
As some of you already know, we have made our Manchester Community Watch with over 130 verified members. But we're not going to stop there. I am currently in the process of getting my SIA license, because we are creating a security firm to ensure everyone within our community stays safe. I want to give a big shout out to Regent Security Force for coming down all the way from Blackburn to show solidarity. Together, we will make a difference. If anyone would like to join our security team, drop me a message.
I'm not sure what it is they think they need protecting from. I mean, English people aren't going into their areas. In fact, English people are fleeing their areas. Whenever an area becomes Islamified, it turns into a shithole. We can see that, you know, by the areas in England that they invade. We can also see that by their home countries. I mean, how anyone believes that people who can't even build their own country could possibly enrich ours is mind-blowing in itself. But English people aren't interested in them. We want nothing to do with them. We're apart from a few very, very retarded ones, you know, we don't want to mix with them. We don't want to sexual stuff with them. We don't want anything to do with them. So why they think they need this army is basically what it is, dressed up behind words like security. I'm not sure, unless they know what's coming, unless they know that there's no way the English, the Anglo-Saxon DNA is going to keep putting up with this. And when our communities are genuinely being invaded, when our girls are genuinely being raped, it's inevitable that we're going to start seeing stuff like this. Now obviously this is all very nuanced. I can imagine a lot of you, and a definite part of me, in fact probably even when I first saw it, was like, yes, go on, this is what we need. Obviously we get no protection from the police. We've had all our weapons taken off us. We've even taken away crossbows now. Women aren't allowed pepper sprays. We literally have no way of defending ourselves against these orcs. So, you know, I can totally understand why people are forming groups like this and why many will see it as a good thing. But I see it as playing into the bigger agenda, playing in, I mean, so I don't blame these guys. I think it's a very rational reaction to invasion to losing your homeland. But it plays perfectly in. So obviously it's all by design. They've created a system where these people have no political out. The votes don't count. If you really think that the same people that reset everything in the 1800s with the mud floods, I mean, if you haven't looked into any of that and you're still arguing about politics, then your opinion is just completely invalid. How anyone can believe that the same people that reset society, that put everyone in mental institutions, that sent out their kids to all these orphanages and reset society, wiped out the memories of the past, would then create a voting system where you actually have a say. I mean, it's just bonkers.
The eyes are useless when the mind is blind. We have been blinded by our government-funded education centers to accept only the mainstream narrative, ignoring all the evidence that the eyes see. That is the conclusion I've drawn with a lot of the haters of this mud flood theory. Some are not ready to be broken free of that programming, and some outright refuse. The mud flood is one of the easiest theories to prove. I have shown thousands of photos over the years of doing this, from the railroad tracks not being laid but being unburied, as can even be seen here in recent times, to the massive brick archways buried under meters of soil. Yet some want to laugh and still just think these are basement windows. But that's okay. I don't make these videos for those people. I make them for the awakened few, with open eyes that can see past the lies. We can see our buried history, hidden in plain sight. We can see the beauty of what this realm was and what it can be. And we don't pretend to have all the answers. But that won't stop us from questioning everything and helping others do the same. You guys are the true voice of this movement. I just help put it into words.
What if the insane asylums from the 1800s weren't built for insane people at all? Think about it. People always say, if there was a reset, wouldn't everyone have known? But what if the people who did know were labeled insane? In the 1800s, all across America and Canada, massive insane asylums started appearing. Huge buildings, massive stone structures, some of the biggest buildings in the entire country at the time. But here's the strange part. Many of these cities were just being founded. So where did all of these insane people come from? And how did they know there would be so many of them that they built entire castle-like complexes to hold them? Look at the Central Lunatic Asylum in Ohio. It looks more like a fortress than a hospital. Look at the Columbia State Hospital. At one point, it was the largest building in the United States. And then there's St. Vincent Hospital in St. Louis. They say it was built in 1 year. 1 year in the 1800s. With that architecture. So you have to ask yourself, were these buildings really made to treat the insane? Or were they made to silence people who remembered a world that no longer existed?
So these men are forced into this position by the lack of protection, the lack of police force, the lack of ability to vote, the total Satanism coming down from a certain country in the Middle East. So all that said, to say that I don't blame these men at all, but through the manipulation from the small hats and the way things are, they're just playing into their hands perfectly. You know, I mean, this is how a civil war starts. And of course, once a civil war starts, then they're just going to be rubbing their hands, because people will be petrified. People will allow anything to stop it. Can you think about it? There's literally orcs versus elves fighting constantly on your street. Like, of course, if the government's like, well, we could have this solution, then digital IDs would really help us. Curfews would really help us. Martial law would really help us. 15-minute cities would really help us. A few more jabs as well. Not that that makes any sense, but always get your jabs. It just plays perfectly into their hands. And we saw it in COVID. You know, people were so in fear, they were begging for this vaccine. And they weren't even interested in the clinical trials. They weren't interested in researching what was in these vaccines. They were just begging for it. and they were queuing up for it. Govern me harder, daddy. We're going to see exactly the same thing occur once these groups all start fighting, and of course these groups are just going to grow and grow and grow and grow. It's going to be way worse, because obviously during the scamdemic it was all just individual. You know, if you were retarded enough to do anything they told you or call it in even, then that was on you. And sadly, if you were a parent, you then force your kids into well, basically ending themselves. So yeah, it did affect a few other people, but you know, if you were conscious, if you could see through the bullshit, which was so easy, I mean, it was just so obvious how anyone fell for it. It's just, I can't even comprehend it. Yeah, conscious people weren't affected by it, basically. Whereas this, I don't see how there's any escaping this. And that's without mentioning the food shortages, which are going to be there in 2 weeks, the fuel shortages, which are there now. The fuel isn't really the problem, the food is what's going to get people. I mean, but just think about what it's going to be like in England. So if it was just elves, I think that would happen. I think, you know, there'd be support and community, and people would not see others starve. But when you're sharing the country with people like this...
I really had enough of this whole life, so I'm going to just go ahead and say it. Fuck every white man, woman, and child alive on this planet. All of you motherfuckers need to die. All of you do. We need to go for a global, recessive genetic purge by any means necessary. Every last one of you white man, woman, and child on this planet need to die.
Or just people with zero IQ like this.
Don't try me, my body is iron.
They also have no delayed gratification or correlation to cause. You know, they can't they can't really see into the future. So it's literally there now. Give me. It's going to be absolute carnage. I mean, this is potentially 2 weeks away. So yeah, we've got militias forming. We've got, I mean, I think more than food shortages on the way. I think we've got, you know, potential starvation on the way. Which would fit perfectly into that website, but we were all a bit like, and I think it was 2020. It began with D. I can't say its full name. It was a statistics American website that basically just, you know, was very focused on military and demographics, and you know, it was just statistic based. And it was very bizarre because without any explanation, it predicted in 2025 it was this massive decline in the population. So it seems like maybe it was a year out, but I think that is about to manifest. And the ex-wife and mother of 3 of Elon Musk's children, who you just saw, also seems to think that that's coming too, which is very interesting, as seen as Elon Musk is one of the biggest puppets going and is clearly part of the club or controlled by the club massively.
Overall, I think there's quite a bit of abdication of responsibility around like, what are we going to do as people's jobs start being taken fairly aggressively. Luckily, there's a massive population drop coming, so maybe everything is just fate and it's going to work out okay. But I feel like we might get like very, very, very good AI across every pillar of art before there aren't any more people to make art.
So yeah, a lot of interesting times ahead. I think it's going to be horrendous. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks so much for all the wonderful support I receive, whether that's just watching to the end and liking, of course subscribing to the channel, sharing the videos, and of course a massive, massive, massive thank you to those that support me financially. Big love to these people, and a huge welcome to the latest member on this channel, Trucking Trucker.